Hello and welcome. Namaste from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, the voice of 1.4 billion Indians to the world. I'm Gautam Roy, and coming up in the next 30 minutes. The Indian Army reveals how indigenous air defence systems successfully shielded Amritsar's Golden Temple and several other Punjab cities from recent Pakistani missile and drone attacks. The International Monetary Fund imposes 11 stringent conditions on Pakistan for release of next tranche of bailout funds, deepening its economic and political doldrums. Netanyahu says Israel will take control of all areas in Gaza and allow a limited amount of food to go through, ending 11 weeks of blockade. And the UK and EU strike a post-Brexit reset deal in security, trade and fishing. It involves a 12-year pact on EU fishing boats in UK waters, while London will have reduced checks for food exports. Well, Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri has briefed the Standing Committee of Parliament on External Affairs on Operation Sindoor, which was launched in the aftermath of the Pahalgam terror attack. The meeting was attended by Congress Member of Parliament Dr. Shashi Tharoor, who is heading the parliamentary panel, and other leaders, including BJP's MP Ravi Shankar Prasad, Congress's Rajiv Shukla and Deependra Hooda, TMC's Sagrika Ghosh and AIMIM Chief Asaduddin Owaisi. The briefing ahead of India's plan to send multi-party delegations to brief global audiences on Operation Sindoor, India's military action against terror hubs of Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed located in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir post the gruesome killing of 26 tourists in Jammu and Kashmir by armed terrorists. Indian Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi visited Longewala in Rajasthan on Monday to congratulate the troops on the exemplary role during Operation Sindoor. He also reviewed the joint actions undertaken in coordination with the Indian Air Force and the Border Security Force. The desert stretches from Jaisalmer to the Kutch region witnessed a swift and coordinated operational response from the Indian Army, the Indian Air Force and the BSF. As part of Operation Sindoor, the Indian Army undertook rapid deployment of surveillance assets and air defence systems in close coordination with the IF and BSF. He praised the troops for their vigilant actions, including the successful neutralization of enemy drone incursions, which effectively prevented any misadventure by the adversary in the desert theatre. The Indian Army's Western Command has shared a new video of Operation Sindoor, showcasing the military's high and accurate precision strikes, intercepting drones and missiles from Pakistan. In a post on X, the Army posted, and I quote, "From the ground, we protected the skies." In another video shared earlier, the Western Command said, "Operation Sindoor planned, trained and executed. Justice served," demonstrating India's military capabilities and response to terrorist threats. And yet another powerful testament to the capabilities and alertness of the Indian Defence Forces, who foiled a multi-pronged bid of the Pakistani military to inflict damage to the Golden Temple in Amritsar. Unveiling details of Operation Sindoor, the Indian Army and its sources said Pakistan tried to attack the Golden Temple using aerial arsenals while attempting a simultaneous infiltration bid to target the holiest place of worship of the Sikhs on 8th and 9th of May, the intervening period between these 2 days, while the unmatched air defence systems deployed in frontline areas intercepted all the aerial projectiles and drones. The alert soldiers repelled the infiltration attempts along the border. Soldiers who were a part of the operation at the frontier said the army was prepared for retaliatory Pakistani strikes after India decimated terror infrastructure on the 7th of May. While it was predicted that Pakistan would retaliate by targeting air bases and military installations, some kamikaze drones, surface-to-surface and air-to-surface missiles were launched directly at the Golden Temple. After failing to damage air bases and military installations for about 3 days, Pakistan began targeting civilian areas, including the Golden Temple, with kamikaze drones and rockets. However, all air raids were intercepted and shot down with great precision.
India's strong and decisive leadership, sharp diplomacy, economic prowess, and military capability manifested in achievement of all political and military objectives with consummate professionalism and scoring an emphatic and decisive victory as part of Operation Sindoor. This should dissuade Pakistan military from any further misadventure. Moreover, Indian armed forces are acutely aware of Pakistan military shortcomings, compulsions and all pressure points. If Pak military tries any misadventure, it will do it to its complete peril, and our fully prepared and motivated armed forces with modern weapons and superior combat capability will give it an annihilating response next time. Our whole-of-nation approach and comprehensive national power will ensure complete destruction of Pakistan if needed. Operation Sindoor has just paused. It has not yet completed. Its full force manifestation with deadly violence is still pending.
So once more it's been reiterated that Operation Sindoor is simply paused. Now the Ministry of Defence has said that Operation Sindoor marked a turning point in India's defence doctrine, demonstrating tri-services synergy, strategic depth and technological dominance in response to Pahalgam terror attack. Operation Sindoor aimed to dismantle terror infrastructure across the line of control and deep inside Pakistan. India executed precision airstrikes on key targets like Noor Khan and Rahim Yar Khan air bases, deployed a carrier battle group for naval dominance and coordinated Army BSF ground operations, demonstrating multi-domain warfare. The strikes on terror sites took place on the 7th of May in response to the 22nd of April Pahalgam terror attack. The operation was supported by integrated systems like IACCS and Akash missiles, alongside reforms including CDS-led DMA, integrated theatre commands, joint logistics nodes and joint exercises like Prachand Prahar and Desert Hunt. Pakistan retaliated with attacks on Indian air bases and logistic hubs, but India neutralized them with its multi-layered air defence system. The army played key defensive and offensive roles, working with the Air Force to counter drones and loitering munitions. The Navy secured control over the seas, showcasing its anti-missile and anti-aircraft capabilities in a complex threat environment. And Pakistan's troubles are far from over. The International Monetary Fund, or the IMF, has imposed 11 tough conditions on Pakistan before releasing the next tranche of its $7 billion bailout package. While the IMF recently disbursed a second tranche of $1 billion USD under a $7 billion USD bailout package, it also imposed 11 stringent conditions. Non-compliance of these norms may further deepen Pakistan's economic and political challenges. Let's now take a look at the list of these new conditions. Pakistan must pass a federal budget of Pakistani rupees 11.6 trillion, which is approximately 63 billion US dollars for the fiscal year 2025-26 through Parliament by June 2025, with PKR 1.07 trillion allocated for developmental expenditure. All 4 provinces must implement a new agricultural income tax law by June 2025, ensuring taxpayer registration, return processing and compliance through digital platforms. Pakistan must publish a governance action plan based on the IMF's governance diagnostic assessment to address weaknesses in governance. A long-term financial sector strategy must be developed for post-2027 period, including regulatory and institutional reforms starting in 2028. Structural reforms must be implemented, including broadening the tax base, reducing subsidies and strengthening fiscal discipline. The IMF has demanded strict monitoring and transparency on the use of the loan, particularly to ensure that funds are not misused. Policies must be implemented for climate change and disaster preparedness under the 1.4 billion USD Resilience and Sustainability Facility. The IMF has advised reducing military spending, which accounts for 16% of the federal budget, to increase investment in sectors such as education and health. Given the India-Pakistan tension, the IMF warned that regional instability could derail economic reforms. Strict measures must be taken to prevent tax evasion and impose taxes on untapped sectors. Electricity subsidies must be reduced and privatization in the energy sector must be promoted. And India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, who is on a three-nation visit, reached the Netherlands on Monday to meet the country's leadership to further boost bilateral ties. Earlier this morning, the minister held discussions with strategic experts at The Hague. In a social media post, the External Affairs Minister said he discussed the need for India and the Netherlands and European countries to engage more deeply in an era of multipolarity and strategic autonomy. The External Affairs Minister his visit to Netherlands is the first leg of a 6-day tour, from where he will also travel to Denmark and then to Germany. Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer is hosting EU leaders in London for the UK-EU summit as both sides aim to reset relations and strengthen cooperation. A key outcome of the discussions is an agreement to work towards a deal that will make it easier for young people to live and work across the continent. And in a significant development, Britain and the European Union have agreed to reset trade and defence relations, marking a major shift in post-Brexit diplomacy. The agreement, reached at a high-level summit, aims to ease trade barriers and enhance security cooperation across the continent. Meanwhile, speaking at the meeting, UK Prime Minister Starmer praised the newly established strategic partnership with the EU. He emphasised the importance of leaving behind outdated debates and focusing on progress.
Moving on from stale old debates, looking forward, not backwards, focusing on what we can do together to deliver in the national interest. We are agreeing a new strategic partnership, fit for our times, providing real tangible benefits on security, irregular migration, energy prices, agri-food, trade and more, bringing down bills, creating jobs and protecting our borders.
It's been called a reset deal and not a reintegration. Now, a new German government has taken over in Berlin, and one of its highest priorities is fixing the country's struggling economy. Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle and joins me from Berlin. Well, hello, Lars. What are you hearing about the first steps of the new government?
Thanks for having me. Well, we've heard a first major policy speech by our new economic minister, Katharina Reiche. She is one of Chancellor Merz's most interesting cabinet picks because unlike what we had seen for decades, really, she wasn't picked out of the usual suspects, the political field, the tried and trusted party soldiers that in the past were often given important positions within the government to reward them for years-long service to the party. No, Katharina Reiche has been in politics before, but her last job was as CEO of a major energy company. So she has been, in fact, picked out of the corporate world. And she's just given her first major speech, and she made it very clear that she's in a hurry. She said very clearly that she's worried about Germany, that, quote, "It seems like Germany forgot how to grow." Well, the German economy shrank for 2 years, and it's expected to stagnate this year. Reiche says much of this is due to outside factors, indeed, like the war in Ukraine and high energy prices, but not all, and that it's high time to tackle the most pressing issues that hold back the economy from within the country.
And Lars, what would those most pressing issues really be? How will the new secretary infuse more energy into the German economy?
Well, she says that previous governments have failed to spur investment in corporate Germany, and that's where she wants to start. Now, where do you land in this well-known debate? With taxes, of course. Reiche wants to see much lower corporate taxes, and she wants to see them lowered now from 15 to 10%, but that will be really hard to do. Chancellor Merz and his CDU party, which nominated Reiche, is in a coalition with the center-left Social Democrats, and the two parties agreed in coalition talks that corporate taxes should indeed be lowered, but only starting in 2028, and then only by 1 percentage point per year. Until then, the government wants to help companies and spur investment with special write-off rules and by reining in bureaucracy. But Reiche says that is not enough. She wants lower taxes now, but of course, it's unclear how she will get to that point, how she will deliver that if such policy has to basically be agreed upon by the coalition partner.
All right, thank you, Lars, for all those updates from Berlin. Now, still to come in this edition of DD India Live. US President Trump will be speaking with Russian President Vladimir Putin over the phone. Ukraine ceasefire to be the main focus. And former US President Joe Biden has been diagnosed with an aggressive late-stage prostate cancer that has spread to his bones.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, the government's e-marketplace has marked its 8th incorporation day with record-breaking growth, cementing its position as a cornerstone of India's digital public procurement ecosystem. Highlighting Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal's article for a daily, Prime Minister Modi mentioned about the digital boost that government accelerated for transparent governance. He also mentioned that how GEM portal is opening doors for the marginalized, cutting red tape and ensuring massive savings. India's Home Minister Amit Shah on Monday launched the new portal of overseas citizens of India in New Delhi, taking into account the significant technological advances made over the last decade and the feedback received from OCI card holders. The Home Minister said that a new OCI portal has been developed to address existing shortcomings and to enhance user experience. Israel will allow a basic amount of food into the Gaza Strip, Prime Minister's office said on Sunday. The decision followed growing international pressure to ease a total blockade that has been in place for more than 2 months. This comes as Israeli military announced that its forces had begun an extensive ground operations throughout the northern and southern Gaza Strip, advancing plans to move farther into the enclave and seize more land in an intensified campaign aimed at pressurizing the Hamas amid negotiations for a ceasefire. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday said his country would take control of the entire Gaza Strip as his military pressed a newly expanded offensive into the territory. In a social media post, Netanyahu said, "The fighting is intense and we are making progress. We will take control of all the territory of the Strip." He also said that Israel would prevent the Hamas from looting aid.
We have decided to provide minimal aid during the conflict, and of course we advanced in this way, and of course we discovered that Hamas was looting some of these aid, and so we stopped the humanitarian aid, and together with our American friends we decided to do a different method. The method is distribution points are secured by the IDF, preventing Hamas access and allowing American companies to distribute the food and medicine aid to the population.
Former US President Joe Biden has been diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer that has spread to his bones. His office confirmed the diagnosis after he sought medical attention for urinary symptoms with a prostate nodule that has been detected. The cancer is hormone sensitive, allowing for effective management, though hormone therapy isn't a cure. 82-year-old Biden's Gleason score of 9 indicates a serious case. US President Trump has expressed sadness, while Kamala Harris, his former vice president, has also offered, that is, Biden's former vice president, has also offered words of support. Meanwhile, former President Barack Obama said that Joe Biden will fight cancer with his trademark resolve and grace. The Bidens, deeply familiar with cancer, continue to review treatment options as they confront this new health challenge. At 82, former US President Joe Biden faces a final personal battle and aggressive prostate cancer diagnosis. Known for his resilience through profound personal tragedies and political storms, Biden's journey from sorrow to statesmanship now takes a solemn turn. DD India's Antara Sinha gets us more.
Former US President Joe Biden's long and storied political journey has always been shadowed by loss, shaped by resilience, and carried forward by a quiet, enduring grit. Now, at 82, the 46th US President faces one of his most intimate battles yet, an aggressive form of prostate cancer that has spread to his bones. It marks a poignant, solemn turn in the twilight of a life spent in service. Biden's office confirmed the diagnosis on Sunday, just years after he lost his son Beau to brain cancer, a tragedy he's spoken about often and one that shaped his advocacy for cancer research. Hormone sensitive and severe, the cancer leaves room for treatment, though not a cure. His presidency, hard won in 2020, was historic. He steered the nation out of a pandemic, appointed the first Black and South Asian female vice president, and pursued landmark legislation. A disastrous 2024 debate performance led to Biden's reluctant withdrawal from re-election, paving the way for Kamala Harris, who ultimately lost to Donald Trump. Biden insisted he could have won, though increasing scrutiny around his cognitive fitness painted a precedent in decline. Biden's rise from tragedy remains central to his story. After losing his wife and daughter in a 1972 car crash just days after being elected to the US Senate at age 29, he survived 2 brain aneurysms in 1988 and in 2015 the loss of his son Beau to cancer. He rebuilt his life with the support of his second wife, Jill. As he left office this year, he controversially pardoned his younger son Hunter amid ongoing legal troubles. In 2023, he had a basal cell carcinoma removed following earlier treatments for non-melanoma skin cancers. Through all these battles, he often repeated his father's mantra, "When you get knocked down, get back up." His final speech warned of an oligarchy taking shape in America, a somber end to a career defined by public service and personal resilience. Antara Sinha for DD India.
And US President Donald Trump will be speaking to Russian President Vladimir Putin, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and North Atlantic Treaty Organization leaders amid attempts to procure a ceasefire between Russia and the Ukraine. Concluding their meeting in Turkey's Istanbul on Friday, delegations of Russia and Ukraine agreed to hold a new round of negotiations and have a large-scale prisoner exchange. As a key outcome of the 2-hour talks, the two sides agreed to a prisoner exchange involving 1,000 people from each side. Now, Indian cinema veteran Anupam Kher's directorial venture Tanvi the Great had its grand premiere at the Cannes Film Festival. Film offers a groundbreaking portrayal of autism as a superpower rather than a disability. Baman Irani plays an integral part in the film. He shares more about his role and the film with DD India's Jaya Sinha from Cannes.
We are at the Cannes Film Festival and I'm joined by incredible and one of India's most loved actor. We just saw the glimpses, Baman Irani. Baman, welcome to DD India. First, I want to ask, you're making your Cannes debut this year at this level. Tell us why you're here and about your Cannes experience.
I had taken a promise that all my debuts I'll do everything after 40. I started acting at the age of 40-something. I became a director at the age of 65 and now I'm making my debut at the age of 60. Can't debut at the age of 65. And I'm enjoying every minute.
I saw the trailer of a beautiful film, Tanvi the Great, and you are joined by Anupam Kher, Karan Thakur, impressive star cast. Tell us about the film.
Mr. Kher has a niece, her name is Tanvi. And she was away from the Shadi ka mahal tha, and she was away looking into the mountains. And Mr. Kher went to his niece and said, "What are you doing?" He's saying, "I'm enjoying." She's saying, "I'm enjoying my world." I think that's far more, there's so much more wisdom in that that statement, then everybody getting together and figuring out who's worn what and what jewelry and what makeup. And she's saying, I'm enjoying my world. And she's a singer. She loves how to sing. And that's why this movie is a musical, and it's based on this girl who is different but no less. She's autistic, and she wants something big out of life.
What do you have to say about the creators economy? It's getting a push from the government also. You were there at the Wave Summit also. How is the right time? At the Cannes, we are at the jury, we are on the red carpet, we are at the screenings. So what do you think about Indian cinema making waves right now?
I'm very, very grateful for the initiative and the incentives. To everything goes in waves. We are at a certain dip of a wave, and it will come up again, because it is then when young blood comes forward and says, you know, we need to do something different. We need to come up with something that's fresh. We need to tell the same story but with a new perspective, something with a new voice. And people will come, but we've got to be a little more, not go down the track where we turn around and say, this will work, that won't work. No. Good stories work. Nothing else works. Nothing else works besides good stories, good screenplays. So that's what we got to aim for, and everything will definitely take an upward swing. I'm quite confident of that.
Thank you so much for talking to us. What a debut. That's incredible. Boman Irani making debut at Cannes at the age of 60, and he only says the good stories will work, and they are working at Cannes or anywhere around the world. Indian cinema is really making waves right now. With camera person Sumit, this is Jaya Sinha reporting for DD India from Cannes.
As I was telling a colleague just a little earlier, a story is as good as how you tell it, and India is telling its story really well at Cannes these days. That's all we have for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts for the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download the app right away. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Royan from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.